Check. Good. So I'm Max Ceron. Max Ceron, CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Ceron, and I am here in humid and wet Nashville, Tennessee for the wonderful AWMI conference. That is the Association of Women in the Metal Industries. Now, we are here for 3 days to enjoy and learn and mainly to become a better ally to women in the metal industries. And as part of this adventure, we're doing podcasts here on the show floor. Well, not the show floor, I guess the conference grounds. I'm here with Marissa McMurray, who is here from Pittsburgh. How are you doing?
I'm good, Max. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you liking the weather?
It's warmer than home, so I'm enjoying it a little bit. It's a little humid today, though, for my hair.
It is. I woke up this morning before I even go to bed, and my hair was already wet, and I was like, oh, one of those days. But what do you do? I have a blizzard in my hometown in Canada. Literally, I just was reading the news. They shut down the mail service for today because the blizzard is so strong where I'm in Regina. So this is better.
Yeah. Who wants snow? It's only November.
We get snow in September. What are you talking about? No.
Too early.
No, not going to happen. No. So, talk to me, Marissa, about your career because, this is the whole platform of women in non-traditional roles in the metal industry and how to advocate and support them. What's your work role?
So currently I am a regional communications manager for Hatch. I am based out of our Pittsburgh office. Our headquarters is in the lovely Mississauga, Canada area. Mm-hmm. And so my main job is just doing our internal and external communications in the U.S. region. So, I'm working with our other offices. We have 26 offices in the U.S., so I'm working with them, making sure that they're communicating project wins, stuff that they're doing within their community, stuff within their offices, just so that our other Hatch offices in the U.S. and around the world can see what we're doing here. And then, what projects we're winning, how are we out, our big thing is, creating positive change in the communities that we live and work in. So, spreading that message. How are we creating positive change around the world? So just communicating that with them. I do all of our events in the United States. So any of our major trade shows, client events that are happening. That's where I was at this morning. I was looking at a venue to come back for AIS Tech next May is here in Nashville.
We just heard about AIS Tech today.
Yes.
That might be on our radar too now.
AIS Tech, it's massive. It's like when it's in Nashville, it gets like 7,000 to 8,000 people converge.
Well, it's on the calendar now. We're going to look into it.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, for sure. What does Hatch do? What is it that Hatch does as a company?
So we're an engineering and consultant agency. So we work with clients in different sectors. So we're in metals and mining, energy, and infrastructure. So we work with clients in all of those different sectors, all the different BUs. So we're in hydropower, we're in rail, we're in solar. So we kind of we're just everywhere. We're, out there consulting, like I said, our big thing is bringing positive change. So how can we better the earth for the future generations?
Well, is that something that has been a mandate since forever with Hatch? Or is it something that's new because of the markets now and the push for green energy?
Well, I'm newer to Hatch. I've only been there for about 14 months now, but it seems to be very ingrained in our culture. So I'm going to go with that's probably how Gerald G. Hatch kind of wanted his company to be run. Mr. Hatch. There is a Mr. Hatch.
Cool. He's still there? He's still hatching it up?
He's not hatching it up anymore.
No. Now, what did you do before this industry or this job at Hatch?
So before Hatch, I worked for an OEM in the steel industry. That was my first job into the metals industry. And I worked there for about 7 to 8 years, and I was their marketing manager here for the United States, and pretty much did everything from advertising to websites, social media, all of our trade shows and conferences in the U.S. So it's just kind of my little niche of the world.
You like this stuff then?
I do. I do like the stuff. And, when I was looking to change careers, I still wanted to be in the metals industry. I wanted to be able to stay a part of AWMI because I do love this organization so much that I kind of was like, metals or metals adjacent is where I was going. And then before I was at the OEM, I worked in property management and real estate. So
yeah, I was gonna go there now. Like, as a young woman, like a child, Marissa, were you like, I can't wait till I get into the metal industries. When I get to a certain opportunity, I'm gonna jump on that. Or what was it that you, as a young person or adult, wanted to be? What was the kind of your goal or your dream as a kid?
I want to be a pediatrician.
You want to be a pediatrician?
Yes.
I mean, it sounds wonderful, but after you meet a few, it sounds like a really hard job.
It does, and it's a lot of school and a lot of debt that I just no. I mean, metals industry. I mean, even coming from Pittsburgh, I mean, it's it once was a steel town. It's not that anymore. So that's what I grew up with, and I mean, my dad had worked at there's a plant. It's still in existence. It's called Hussey Copper, and he had worked there, I think, before I was even born, and I was like,
whatever.
Yeah. So I want to be a pediatrician. I wanted to work in sports. We're a big sports city
Family,
too.
Yeah,
so
right.
I was like, I'll work for the Steelers. I'll work for the the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I ended
Doing
up in
what?
real estate.
Yeah. So how did you end up in real estate? That's interesting because I feel like real estate is one of those careers that's almost like a transitory career. It's almost like in between one career and another. Some people fall into it and stay there forever. A lot of people don't.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky. I was in like property management, so it was only apartments. And I mean, that was like my first job out of college. I was making not a lot of money at all.
Well, what did you study in college?
I studied, so my major is a Bachelor of Arts in Communication because I was a comms major. I also got to take a lot of business classes my senior year.
Right.
So that's how I got into marketing, public relations.
Okay. And so that lines right up with real estate, right? So you went into that kind of to cut your teeth. How was it?
So it wasn't like real estate, although I do have a real estate license that is an escrow in Pennsylvania. I do. It was apartments, so it was kind of cool because a lot of our apartments were student housing. So I got to see a lot of different. That's how I started traveling.
Right.
I got to see a lot of different parts of the country. Like I got to go to Lubbock, Texas.
That sounds like the metropolis of Lubbock, right? Like,
yeah. But I mean, places that like you'd think that you would never go, and I mean, it's still like that even now. When I worked for the OEM that I worked for was SMS Group. I was in Osceola, Arkansas.
Was it nice?
Did
they have a good diner?
I didn't even stay there. I stayed in Memphis because my bosses were worried about me staying like so far out and then having to drive. So I stayed in Memphis and drove back and forth. But even with Hatch, a couple in August, I was in Fargo, North Dakota.
Well, that's close to my parts of the world.
Yeah.
Fargo's like 3 hours south of where I live in Canada.
Yeah, so like, I mean, was North Dakota even on my list of places that I thought I would visit? No, but hey, I got to go.
Not bucket list, but hey, you know what? It is a beautiful part of the country. It is.
It is.
In the summer.
It is. I mean, it was very nice when we were there. The project that we were covering when I was there was really great to see, like in action, like see like stuff that our engineers and our consultants were doing with our clients. So like seeing that was great. And I mean, even internally, we are scheduling a trip next spring to go to our office in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Ooh, fun.
So, I mean, I get to go to South Africa.
Rad. That's so cool.
It is cool. We get to do like a game excursion. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So let's talk about that first transition into the metal industries. You know, like Pittsburgh's a steel town, but you're not there with it. Wasn't your shtick. Although your dad was a tradesperson, right? Now you get that first job in the industrial markets. What was that learning curve like for you? You know, coming in as a comms person, a marketing person, that's a learning curve. There's a lot there.
Oh, it's a major learning curve because I mean, you're thinking about like something like a can of Coke. Like you don't think about like what goes into making like
the can.
You just buy it and go.
And why the top of the can is different than the rest of the can.
Yeah.
And why it must be.
And like car parts. I mean, everything that like you think about, like, you know, like rail, like the actual like rail, like trail tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like how those are made and how like the equipment that goes into them. I remember the first time that I like walked through a steel mill from like top to bottom, and I was like, holy.
That's wild. Yeah, yeah. And loud and hot and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So much going on.
Yeah, we went to a place in Jacksonville. It was a wire rod. So seeing like a billet go from being like huge to like wire, and it was just like, this is cool.
Yeah, yeah, so cool. Now, how much of that did you have to take on, in terms of marketing? Because marketing, I think it's a bad rap. A lot of people are like, marketing's not that important. But really, it's kind of like one of the most important parts of a company for longevity, building brand, which is so critical to establishing, your footprint in the industry. You're coming in, you don't know much about the industry, you're learning, but now you got to sell this, right? You got to push it out there. How hard was that? And did you feel like there was any obstacles that were just like, what the heck am I doing here?
It was definitely hard. I'm not a big technical writer. Like it's just like, I read some of these like academic papers and I'm like, I can't even get past the abstract. So I was very lucky that I had a great boss that was able to take the technical portion, and then I went in and cleaned it up and made it for like everyday readers so that like they could grasp the concept of it.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that was also very hard was when I worked for SMS Group, they're a German-based company. So there was a lot of translation
back and forth.
So yeah, but I mean, the learning curve with like learning anything in the metals industry, I mean, it's massive because like I said, it's something you don't think about on the daily is like how stuff around you gets made.
Right. And welding steel, the steels are literally all around us at all times.
Oh yeah.
24/7. Like you can't escape it. Nowhere. So
I mean, yeah, it really is.
Everything.
It's everything.
I always tell students, everything you have and everything you ever will have was either made of steel or made by something made of steel.
And yes.
Period.
Yeah.
Like it's just, that's it. Now, for you as a woman coming into the industry, did you feel that there was even more of a catch-up base or a longer lead-up ramp for you to be a marketing or comms person for a steel industry company? Or did you feel like that role is fairly ambiguous for gender?
I think the role is fairly ambiguous for gender. I feel like a lot of the roles like HR, accounting, marketing, communications, I feel like those usually do tend to be a lot more female filled roles. I mean, you'll even see a lot of that here at AWMI. A lot of the people you see like sales are any of the internals. So your HR, your accounting.
Administration.
Yeah, administrations. Yeah. And I mean, I was really lucky that I worked for a company that there was no issue with me being the female there.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, here comes Marissa.
Yeah. I mean, they tried, but I also, my father and my uncles were auto mechanics. So
You're not scared.
I'm not scared. I have seen it. I have heard it.
Yeah. Well, that's something that came up in a previous podcast. We're talking about empowering women, and a lot of it is fear, and some women are less afraid. We want to teach people to not be afraid at all, because fear has no place in anything, because it just holds you back, really. And for a privileged male in the male dominated industry, I have very little fear. There's very little that I would look at and be like, I can't do that, or that's something I shouldn't do. I kind of don't have those barriers. Whereas women, they do think those thoughts that maybe that's not a job for me, or maybe I shouldn't do that because I don't know what I'm doing. And that is very much a gender issue, and for yourself, you're low on the fear scale. You had good parents, good family support you. Do you feel like you bring that to AWMI here now in this role as marketing chair for AWMI?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm completely fearless. I mean, sometimes when I do walk into a room and I'm the only female, it's like
gulp.
That just like, okay, I can't be as brash, because then, I come off being too aggressive. So, kind of sweeten it up, make sure I'm always smiling and laughing at everyone.
Isn't that frustrating that you have to even think those things though?
It really is.
Right? Like, I mean, because like I don't have to be like, oh, I mean, I'm kind of brash all the time. It's like the conversation that comes up all the time in society. We see the memes.
Yep.
An aggressive man. Way to go, Jimmy. An aggressive woman. Why are you being such a whatever, right? And that's terrible, right?
I mean, it really is. And it's like that balance of power because, like, you want to be taken seriously. But then at the same time, like, if you're not, it's like, do I not come off as having any self-confidence? So it's just tough. But I mean, I would say a lot of my like self-confidence that I do have has actually come from being a part of like AWMI as an organization. I mean, I've worked my way up. I was on the Pittsburgh chapter. I worked my way onto the International Board of Directors now. And I mean, if you would have asked me like 7 years ago, if I would thought I would have been in this position, I would have been like, no.
So let's talk about that. How far along in your career were you when you found out about AWMI?
I was probably 6 or 7 months into being in the metals industry. And one of my contacts that works at AIST was like, hey, I'm a part of this organization. It's women in the metals industry. They're looking for people to help plan events. You plan events all the time for your job. Do you want to be a board member with me? And I'm like, sure. Yeah.
I mean, all the pieces are there.
Yeah.
Check marks, help women, support the industry, further your career. Like all the check marks are there. And that's, at the end of the day, a nonprofit association exists only to support its members, right? Which is, the beautiful thing. When you I'm interested, like, how did that first call happen? Like, just someone's like, hey.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's all she kind of did. She was just like, she had been part of it for a little bit of time. She was like, we're looking for people to help plan our events, be like a program's co-chair. Are you interested? And I was like, how much is the cost and how much time is it going to be? And it aligned with my life at that point in time. And I was like, sure, I'll do it.
And then you walk into that first meeting in Pittsburgh. And what was it like?
We walked into a tour. It wasn't. I didn't even get to go to my first board meeting. I went to a tour, and I mean, obviously, I had been in a few of our SMS facilities, but I'd never been in another facility at that point in time. So, getting to see something different was very exciting. And I met like the board at the time. They were just such a great group of ladies. A lot of them are still part of the board today, and I mean, it's just like they just become like a little family that you're always hanging out with.
And the term safe space came up today. How critical that can be for women in these industries is finding those safe spaces, whether it's on the job floor or in the workplace or in association spaces like AWMI offers. Did you feel that? Did you feel like, you mentioned family? That in my mind equals sort of safety and comfortable, right? Did you feel that right away when you walked into that? That tour and then the subsequent meetings that you were a part of?
Most definitely. I mean, I have some great friends that are a part of AWMI that don't live in Pittsburgh, and I see them a couple times a year at AWMI events. And
you're just pumped? Yeah.
And I'm just pumped to see them. That's why I'm so excited to be at conference this year. I mean, Sarah Lieber, who is the Pittsburgh chapter president currently, I mean, she was my vice president when I was president. So one of my really good friends outside of AWMI, we still talk and everything. So, and I mean, it's not just about AWMI stuff. It's like life stuff that's going on.
Right.
She's one of my like really good friends.
She's a homie.
Yeah. She's my little homie.
So in your career now, what are some of the skills that you've had to kind of pick up that maybe AWMI helped you with, or even just in your own professional development personally, that you've had to really like build up throughout your career to make sure you're being a strong, confident woman in these industries?
Getting asked to be on a podcast.
Is this tough?
It's not tough because it's just you and I. If there was a lot more people, I think I'd be a little bit more scared.
Well, don't worry about the 50,000 people that are going to watch it later.
That's fine. Oh, I forgot about the video. Yeah, but I mean, like having to, have the confidence to come out and do these types of conversations. I introduced one of our speakers on Friday. So, speaking in front of 400 people, like I just found in like this organization, like it just keeps going up. Like, okay, you're talking to like 25 people at a tour. You're talking to, 75 people, and then you're talking to like 150. And now it's like, oh, you're going to speak in front of 400.
Yeah. It's no problem.
You get used to it. You get comfortable in it.
You do.
Which is I guess, worrisome that, like, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to go be on a podcast. It'll be fine.
There's two aspects to it. And I think that from a volunteer association point of view, I think what starts to happen is A, yeah, you do get used to it. There's a piece of that. But then there's B, you want to be a good example, right? You know that this is an opportunity for you to show people that it can be done, right? Because you're not a superstar yet, right? We're not no one famous, but we're getting on a stage and we're talking to 400 people, which is not what normal people do when they wake up, right? So I think it's important to be those leaders. You want to show what the opportunities are. And like we said, especially when we come to diversity and inequality in the workplace, it's hard to be what you can't see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I think any profession needs to be part of some type of organization that like boosts, like gives you some type of boost, whether it's your personal or professional development. I think it's integral to like growing, because if you're in your job and you're like, if you're a lifer, that's the only job you've ever known, but that's just as far as you're growing too. And I feel like being parts of organizations like AWMI, like you're being constantly pushed out of that box.
Associations, I love that what you just said there. Like, I mean, it's kind of like I guess the added value, but you got to go get it.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. You got to go get it. It's not like you're at work all day. You got 8 hours of work. You go home, you do your thing, you get paid, you're done. To get to that next level, you got to find, I guess, the time, the space in your life, the energy. But you get so much back, like what do you get back?
Oh, I mean, the friendships that I've gotten, the networking, a sense of accomplishment when stuff comes together. Our conference is like, it's very all hands on deck. Everyone's kind of involved with it. From the marketing standpoint, I'm doing outreach to our sponsors, making sure that like we're having like that stream of income so we can have a better conference coming in, make sure that our attendee bags are great, make sure that we have really cool hotel keys.
There's attendee bags?
Yes, we get them tomorrow at registration. They're supposed to be really nice. A whole bunch of goodies inside of it.
Yes.
But, like working with like getting all of that put in it. So, like you have, like for me, like with the sponsorships, I'm like, okay, this is what we made last year. This is my goal. And then, like really pushing forward. And when you get there, you're just like, great.
Yeah. Now what?
Now I got to do all these social media posts.
Yeah.
Gonna make sure I have all their logos so they go on our app, make sure our app looks good.
Oh, the app's working good this weekend.
I do love the app.
Week, it works good. Yeah, we're taking notes. I mean, we do conferences. We learn from each other, right? Like, it's one of these amazing things, association to association, how we can support each other. But on that note, let's take a break now for our advertisers, because we're going to come right back and we're going to talk about specifically this conference, how it's rolling out, what you do to support it, and kind of the cool activities we're going to have this week, right?
Awesome. I'm excited.
Right. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back here on the CWB Association podcast. Right after these messages from our advertisers.
The CWB Association is new and improved and focused on you. We offer a free membership with lots of benefits to anyone interested in joining an association that is passionate about welding. We are committed to educating, informing, and connecting our workforce. Gain access to your free digital publication of the Weld magazine, free online training, conferences, and lots of giveaways. Reach out to your local CWB Association chapter today to connect with other welding professionals and share welding as a trade in your community. Build your career, stay informed, and support the Canadian welding industry. Join today and learn more at cwbassociation.org.
And we are back here on the CWB Association podcast here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee for the AWMI conference this week. We got 3 days. Today's day one, which is kind of like your AGM day. Like, what's going on today here at the conference?
So we have all of our regional meetings. We have 5 regions in the U.S. So each of those groups and their chapters that are reporting to them, they are all getting together in about an hour. About 20 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah.
An hour or 20 minutes, whatever. They're getting together and they're talking about, how their years have been since their spring meetings that they had, and talking about their plans for next year. Some of them bring in speakers to do personal professional development. Some people have games. Just kind of depends on each region does their own thing. So just kind of up to them. And then after that, I head off to our International Board of Directors, our IBOD. I have a 3-hour meeting with that group where we talk about this year and what we're going to be doing next year. And then I get to go to dinner and then I'm done.
Yeah, and I think dinner tonight is fend for yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Fend for yourself tonight. Tomorrow we have a keynote dinner.
Good.
And then Friday we're all schlepping home.
Well, we're not leaving until Saturday because we want to enjoy Friday. I don't like leaving in a rush, and you never know when you might catch another interview or an opportunity.
That is true.
Right?
You know, you can go just podcast on Broadway.
Well, I do have portable gear, so we can technically do that. I even have a couple GoPros floating around. But anyways, for you as marketing chair, this event, is this the marquee event of the year that you work towards?
I think this event is the marquee event for our association, not just my role. But we do have an annual conference chair, Carol Chismar. So this is her baby. This is all that she's responsible for. So she, come January, February, we're back on
planning mode. Yeah.
We're back on our annual conference committee calls, and that's how we're formulating who are our keynote speakers going to be? What kind of panels do we want to see? What kind of tours are we looking for? Where can we get contacts in these places for us to go and tour? So, yeah, I mean, it's a full year planning, and then we get down to this time of the year, and it's we're in the weeds, and it's okay, well, we need speaker bios and their headshots, and we have to update the website, and they have to go on social media. You have to create all the social media posts. You have to do sponsorship social media posts. So,
and you're a part of all that.
Yes, I have a great marketing committee. I had 2 ladies that were fantastic, and they helped create the graphics. One posted all of our sponsorship ads as they were going through, and I did our speaker profiles yesterday before I was on my flight here, just to get those all lined up, so then I can also enjoy conference too, get my learning in as well.
Well, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get all these podcasts done today because we really want to just be a part of the conference for the next 2 days, because professionally as an association, we're in Canada, we're moving into the rest of the world with what we do with our association. And right now we're looking at less than 5% women in the steel industry, right? It's embarrassing to say stats like that, but we've been saying them for years, decades, and trying to bump those numbers up. And we're not having a lot of success, right? So for me and our team to come here, there's 5 of us that are here. It's to learn. We want to learn, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What can we do? I want to hear from the leaders of the industry that are women, and people that have worked their way to the top positions, to say, what are the obstacles that they encountered, and how do I make sure those obstacles are out of the way? And also as an ally, because I am a privileged, biased male, and I have I have that, because just the way it is, I was born into it. What can I do to be a better ally, to maybe remove myself out of the situation sometimes completely, and just say, you know what, this isn't me. It's not my job, right? Am I going to get that? Is this?
Oh yeah, you will definitely get that. I mean, we have 3 amazing keynote speakers. They're all women. They're all high ups in their organizations. So we have Christy Keats, who's coming from BlueScope North America. She's their chief executive for BlueScope Americas. We have Lauren Welk from Arconic, and then we have Tabitha Stein from Nucor. So we have 3 large people in the metals industry that are our speakers for this. And I think in the past we've also had some heavy hitters. We had people from Big River Steel, U.S. Steel, Steel Dynamics. We've had, we get a lot of good representation. We get a lot of good support from a lot of the companies in the metals industries, not just steel either.
Well, it's interesting because, we are a corporate sponsor of AWMI.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's our pleasure and our privilege, because we found you by accident at the Denver Steel Conference. We were in the booth next to you, and, all the associations get thrown in the corner, and you make friends with the other associations around you. And it was okay, well, we're trying to, be advocates for bringing more women into the metal industries. And lo and behold, AWMI is right beside us, who's literally full of women in the metal industries who are, either starting out or way at the top, like you said. And immediately became to me, like I took it back to my company. I said, I want to be a corporate sponsor. So explain to the people, I think it'd be interesting for any of the companies or entrepreneurs or businesses out there to learn what if they become a corporate sponsor, what do they get? What is it that AWMI offers business?
So with our corporate memberships, it's a tiered platform. So depending on which level you're going in through is kind of gets you different perks.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest perks is you get a discounted membership for a certain number of your employees, and that can be men or women. So men are also allowed to be part of AWMI, Max, as you know.
I'm a member.
Because a lot of people look at AWMI Association of Women and they're just like, well, it's all women. But we have men members, we have men board members even.
Yeah.
So.
And I wear the tag men loosely, so.
So, depending on, like I said, what tier. So we do a quarterly metal mail. So our corporate members have the opportunity to advertise in that, or they can advertise on our social media platforms. We look to our corporate members first when we're planning out speakers at our conference every year. It's not so much looking at the big OEMs, but who else can we pull from that can sit on a panel? So, we're looking at, maybe not someone that's a platinum member, but someone that's a silver or bronze. Who can we pull from these smaller organizations and boost them up into, working on podcasts, being a speaker at a conference, giving those accolades to people.
Mm-hmm. But, it is true because from our aspect, you guys have done a great job of reaching out to us and keeping us in the loop and making sure that the messaging, even from our end, to support your membership and vice versa, is important, because this is an association to an association relationship, which is a little different than a business to association relationship, because I have a group of members within my membership that I'm trying to find resources to support them. And I bring to your members, hopefully, resources to support your members. And it's, there's a trade-off there, right?
Yeah, because I know you've been working with Shauna, who's our mentoring chair, about doing some cross training swaps and everything. And I think that's when it's an organization, an association to an association, I think doing collabs like that is very important, because you're reaching each other's demographics that way.
Yeah.
And it's only going to help you both grow.
That's right.
And so for just general membership, our mentoringship program is, it's outstanding. What Shauna and Sean, who is the predecessor to that, what they've created in pairing mentors and mentees together and watching those relationships build. That is a huge benefit for members, especially if you're in an organization where there's not a lot of women, and you're do you want a mentor that's a man at that point?
That's not the right type of mentorship.
So it can, and it might not be someone that's even in your same chapter or in your same state. It could be someone across the U.S. that you're getting someone else's, their culture. We're very cultural in the U.S. That just depending on where you live. So you're seeing different experiences, and you're getting to pull on that, and you're getting that little bit of the boomph, the little bit of confidence from them.
Yeah, and confidence is everything, right? And society, the patriarchy, does a real good job of keeping confidence down on women. Kind of right from infancy up. There's every opportunity, kind of don't be loud, don't be aggressive, don't be too much of this or too much of that, and I'm a dad of a daughter, and I remember very keenly when she was born being like, I will not let the patriarchy bring you down, because I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've been on work sites as a welder and watched a woman get hired and people treat her like until she leaves. And I just remember being like, what's wrong with this world? Why is this, why is it acceptable? But that's even a bigger question. It's how does that even cross someone's mind in the first place to even act like that? There's a whole lot of steps socially that we're missing out on. And do you think that AWMI, or yourself and your experience with this organization, is that part of the plan? Are you looking to tackle some of those big questions? Because there's the big issues, and then there's the littler, maybe we can work on these tomorrow type of.
I think I would say probably we're worried about what we can do in our industries.
Right.
Going out and tackling the social issues going on in the world today. That's a lot. But I think if we can fix the metals industry so that women, they are not afraid to speak up. They're not afraid to be the only female in a male boardroom.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of like what our core is like we're just trying to give women a safe space where they can have those conversations, where they can get that support, where they can get that self-confidence boost to prevail in their jobs.
Yeah. What are you most excited for this week? What's got you pumped?
Oh, what am I most excited for? I love Dr. Amber Wright. She has been a speaker for us. This is her 3rd year. And I take so many notes when she's out there talking, and she's just a fantastic person to begin with. If you get the chance to meet her off stage, she's great. She's amazing. I'm excited for her. I'm excited for all of our keynote speakers. I'm excited to see the Samuel panel on Friday. The economics. I always love to see when that's going on, especially here in the U.S. We just had a presidential election, so seeing how our economics are going to change.
Yeah, what the moves are going to be.
Yeah, how everything's going to be on. Because a lot of our companies, you'll talk to them and they're not spending CapEx right now because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
we heard that lots at FabTech. Lots. Coming from Canada, we're like, why? What does that mean?
Well, welcome to an election year in the United States. Everything grinds to a halt pretty much in like August.
Yeah.
So, like stuff like that. We have a women in manufacturing. So getting to see, we have a speaker from Tran Technologies. We have John Deere up there. But I just think seeing people from just different areas and different parts of our organization that we represent, I'm kind of excited for everything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'm excited to be here in Nashville too. It's so great. Live music everywhere. I love it.
Yeah, we caught some live bands last night. Really fun. I'm interested to see if we find not country bands, but I got told that that's weird because I'm in Nashville. But I'm a rock music lover. I love rock, and some of I have many bands that I follow that are from Tennessee that are rock and heavy metal. I assume they would be somewhere in this town.
I'm sure not everyone here is like country. I'm sure you do get some rock country.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's so many venues, right? Like everywhere. Like our hotel lobby had music playing last night.
They play at the airport. So on Saturday when you leave, there will be live bands in the airport bars.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, we are pumped for tonight. We're going to go do a little bit of sightseeing because it's Fend for Yourself tonight.
Yes.
So we're going to go out and do a little bit of checking out some stuff. There's lots of shows going on.
Shows with so much amazing food.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I think even for lunch, we were talking about, let's try some of this famous chicken that I've been hearing about.
I hope you like spicy food.
I do like spicy food. I do. I love spicy food. I even said yesterday, like, I'm down with sweating during a meal. I don't mind. If I got to take my glasses off to wipe my eyes, that means it's good.
Well, then you will thoroughly enjoy it. The one time I had, I didn't even have the crust. I just had a piece of the inner chicken.
Yeah.
The smallest piece. And I was like, I need milk. I'm in the middle of a bar and I need milk.
Not spicy food.
It's just hot. I don't like to sweat when I eat. I like to enjoy food.
I sweat getting out of bed. So, it is what it is. So, I'm past that, I guess.
I told you from the humidity, I had to come in and redo my hair and makeup for this.
Now, we talked about what you're most pumped to see this week. What are you pumped about for the future of AWMI? You've been around for a few years now. You've seen the growth, the membership. I've seen some of the numbers and the growth, and the engagement really threw me off. There's 2,000 and some members, but 400 people attending your conference. That's a 20% engagement, of in person. Those are statistics any association would die for, right? Mine included. What do you see for the future of AWMI?
I just think we're going to continue to grow. So we brought on our New York chapter this year. We still have our provisional chapter in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at 2 to 3 new markets elsewhere in the United States.
Canada.
We have a Canadian. Our
Just
Toronto
one.
chapter is amazing.
But Toronto is so far away from the rest of the normal Canadians. Those Torontonians are weird. I get a dirty look from a GTA member over there, but you know what I mean. I love seeing the growth, and honestly, I would love to see you across Canada. There's so many industries, but
I think we would love to grow as much as we possibly can. It does take a lot of work though
for sure.
to do that growth. You have to have a core group of women who are like willing to go out and do this without
Build
a
it.
without a lot of support. I mean, once you get a chapter, once you get your membership, you have support, you have an income, which is important. When you're starting from scratch, like
you're finding venues to have meetings in. You're finding the people. You're
starting to
you
build
need
those
champions.
connections.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's exactly it. You really need champions at organizations to do that. With Florida, we are very lucky. A lot of the chapter there is kind of based out of Tampa, where we have a lot of metals industry. We have Gerdau there. We have Klockner Metals. Like there was a good basis there for that chapter to start with. Same with New York. So like you need to have a good foundation for a successful chapter to be built in and to thrive on it. Because you don't want to start something and then in a couple of years we're having to close a chapter because it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah. And that's not a good feeling. And it also leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. Like, I mean, our association has been around 104 years now. People still talk about a chapter that folded 20 years ago. Like, oh, that chapter folded because it never restarted and that area now feels unrepresented, right? And it's like, oh, I can think about those things all the time. Like, how do we establish chapters? But I brought in a very kind of stringent set of rules to start a chapter that kind of weeds out that process, right? Because like you exactly said, you don't want to get something started and then it falls apart, right? Because
I mean, it's not fair to the people that started. It's not fair to the people that are supporting it. So I mean, I think the sky's the limit with our growth. I mean, Becky Dolan, who's our international membership chair. I mean, our membership has just grown exponentially. Our corporate members have grown so much as well. And I think, I mean, like you said, our engagement is so good. I mean, we were worried we were getting close to conference and I was like, look, we only ordered certain numbers of stuff going into these bags. Like we get to hit to 400 and we're gonna be running out of attendee bags. Like, do I have to give mine back as a board member?
Yeah. I mean, those are good problems to have.
I mean, it's a great problem to have. And I mean, when we've come from last year conference where like we had no more hotel rooms to give people, but people still wanted to come.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like so we've had to like learn. But now like when we're planning future conferences, it's like, okay, well, we need bigger venues, bigger cities that we're going to have to go to.
Well, if anybody from AWMI ever has trouble getting a hotel room, they can become a CWBA member and get a discount at any Choice Hotel. Shameless plug right there.
I mean, I walked you right into that one.
Yeah. Thank you for that one.
You have to be Canadian to be a member of the CWB?
No, it's international. Anybody in the world can be a member. And when you pick your chapter, you can pick, we have 17 chapters across Canada, one in South America. We're going to be setting up chapters in the U.S. within the next year. Hopefully, we're going to set up our first one. And basically, based on how you sign up for your membership, you pick your chapter. That's how I decide the funding based off membership growth. So, make sure you pick a chapter. And if there's not one in your area, pick one. Support them, right? Maybe you got an uncle in that area. That'll make a little bit more money into that area. So
nice.
How do you guys do your chapter setup? Like, if there's an area, how do they do funding? Are we getting too in the weeds? Because that's really interesting, just like an association to association conversation.
So when we do like events, we take sponsorships in. We obviously charge for some of our events. Some of them are free to our members. We would charge non-members. So a lot of that is how chapters build their bank accounts to like put on, cool. How they put on like all of their awesome events that they have throughout the year. So a lot of it is like you have to be a successful chapter, have these great events so people want to come to your events.
To make you a successful chapter.
And a lot of our chapters, they have really successful like fundraising events. We have people who do auctions. Golf outings are huge, obviously, in the United States. You do raffle prizes at everything that we will have raffle prizes here that you can participate in. So I mean, it's just a lot of internal fundraising within our memberships, making sure that, we have bank accounts so we can have nice events for our members to give that back to them.
Perfect. Well, we're going to wrap up the interview here. I'd like you to kind of let the people know, how do you become a part of AWMI? Or if you're a business, how do you support? Where do you go? How do you become?
AWMI.org is our website. All the information is there on how to be a corporate member, how to become an individual member. Definitely reach out, AWMI at tally.com. we can get you set up with either our membership chair, Becky Dolan, or get you set up with the chapter presidents, chapter memberships that are in your area, or reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. I answer all the questions on there, and I will get you pointed to the right people.
Hey, what are the social medias?
Oh, Lord. On
Instagram,
LinkedIn, and Facebook. Look us up. Some version of AWMI is in our title. I think for Facebook, it's like Association Women in the Metal Industry -AWMI, and then Instagram is AWMI Social Media, and LinkedIn is AWMI Association Women in the Metal Industry.
all right.
So long.
Or Google AWMI, it'll come up.
AWMI.org is the best place. All of our
right.
links are there.
Perfect. And I can't wait to go through this week. I think it's going to be a lot of learning and hopefully a lot of fun. Thank you for having us out here in Nashville.
Thank you for making us do this. I was very hesitant, but I've enjoyed this time with you. It's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And for all the followers and listeners of our podcast, make sure you download and share, comment on them. Also, we do have a new fan mail feature on Buzzsprout if you want to send us messages. And of course, you can always reach out to us through our social medias on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, everywhere. So we'll find you, catch you, and then I'll go see you at the next episode. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed the show.